and we want them to. As we said earlier, the reasons we write is to manipulate
impulses that occur as they read our writing.
So, some of what you're looking for from your aspects of your writing. So, you get good feedback from others by asking goods. If you just ask your reader, you're likely to get a response like
stuff
you at all. So when you take your paper away, they'll know what to look for when they're reading your paper.
I wish I had some feedback.
Your haircut repulsive.
Question you ask your reader depends upon the reader. We need to say one more thing about getting feedback.
Probably isn't your best bet.
It might be really easy for Nathan to pick his life as someone his own age would be.
Larger issues in his paper: organization and worldly in the writing process. Humor and cleaning out the cat litter box Nathan came up with.
Have effectively arranged and expressed. Do I see this throughout the paper? Is my paper fit the intended audience? Manly physique.
Nathan takes his paper and is listed to Sam in his class.
So what do you think of Nathan?
Let's look at some of the comments. Is paper number 1 of your insert. Changes made to this paper will be in paper number 2.
Everywhere. You see them on the street and in people's houses. Separation through grouping manifests. Sam's marked that she also questions his statement, high school is the high school.
So the opening...
You want your opening to get your paper. You use the rest of the opening to develop your...
It depends upon the field of study you use.
Sir, I'm having a little bit of trouble.
Come on, kid. Your opening needs to take your reader. Give them a direct quote definition, a description, I don't care. You think works, but you right. First with the left. Wham! Wham!
Okay,
wham! Nail 'em!
I'll be going.
Wham!
The major one: question, a direct quotation, a definition, like a deer hypnotized by headlights, and get your reader interested. And
let's look at each of these types of openings a bit. First, an anecdotal opening is a very short to make them want to read more of your writing.
For example, Nathan might relate,
oh my...
To force your reader to get involved in your paper. It's at least think about a question when it's posed to you. That carrot in front of your reader, then keep reading for an answer. It drives him crazy. Or some other such question.
Someone else's words shows your reader that you've read on to see what you have to say about that quote.
So we've looked at opening with...
Beginning your paper with a definition. Sometimes you may have to begin with a because your reader may be unsure of
cover. Opening with a description. Take them into your writing. Nathan could open his paper with a description to be walking down the hallways of a high school.
Smell the remains of the
how you begin your paper, and above all, your readers should wish their horses rather than not be able to.
Opening does introduce the topic of his paper.
your reader's attention. It should be very...
But I'm going to combine description and money. Goes back and revises his paper. Here's what this new opening is on paper number 2.
They're the cornerstone of social order, federal prison, separation.
Nathan will probably want to continue.
He uses from the caste systems of India the same thing as his last opening, but
read mine, but bottom of the first
paragraph is, students can be broken down into 3 general groups.
This is a thesis statement would appear in a paper.
Having the thesis statement between the opening and before here, but it should be placed early in your paper.
Isn't always true in other cultures or other...
Sam thinks Nathan's...
It should be specific and convincing.
Describe the different groups in high school, but he doesn't say statement more focused.
High school groups in my thesis statement.
Well,
Thesis statement more specific. Paper will be dividing students in high school. His reader will know that this paper will describe these different groups.
Down into 3 general groups. Groups, once defined, can then be broken. This is Nathan's new working thesis.
and rewrite your paper. Let's go on to the second.
They scoff at the occasional confidence to befriend them, mired in the lowest social group. Sam...
Nathan's paper hasn't... So Nathan decides he'll put this last, after he's already defined the other...
Paper number 1. The first, they're lucky. They have all the perks. Comments that maybe he could say more about.
Nathan has a good example of how getting feedback can...
He also decides to change the name to The Coolies.
The coolies can be divided, Alex.
The made here is that he's listed the 3 major... The reader can expect an...
Okay, let's go back to remember to pause or rewind the tape at...
Sentences state, jocks because they have obvious characteristics. Sports. It's almost impossible to be a jock and not play as jocks, and popular kids are...
She's confused. Thesis statement in paper. His thesis statement didn't state the different groups. It wasn't specific enough. So his reader...
description of who the popular... And there's no transition between... know that jocks are one of the types of pop lines and free writes, but the way it's written. The sentence beginning with...
personal interpretation of these groups, and it's humorous.
Humor, when you angers people, will get you know, see if your humor works on them.
Paragraph in his original paper.
Marks that his first sentence at the beginning and down into 3 subgroups as well. The rest of the paragraph describes what a nerd is to the reader, the descriptions.
Nathan goes back and rewrites his...
Nerds are the group at the opposite end of the social C's. This just ended, the popular kids, by saying the popular kids. This sentence uses the different nerd groups. That way,
This new sentence.
Now back the truck up.
Next paragraph. Sentences
That Nathan needs a transition sentence.
comfortable person section that Nathan needs a transition one social group and is about in order to keep his reader from stumbling.
Very important, especially even though all your ideas may be related to one another, it may not.
transition sentences just said relates to what you're about to say.
what kind of transition?
Comparing and criticizing ideas, as well as giving examples or
Words I can use.
Between ideas, you might use for, then, meanwhile, during. For a spatial relationship contrast paper, you could use on the. For summarizing ideas, you would use in, and for cause and effect.
But it gives you an idea of some key words of
Remember, transition sentence.
paragraphs.
Paragraph begins with the zealous academe. It begins with another.
In previous transitions, connected groups by their social standing in high
Though difficult for the SUP, the paragraphs, and he showed how these...
Sam's last comment is about
Be continually reworked as your introduction and everything else. He'll need to change.
So Nathan's gotten some feedback. In looking at Nathan's paper, what makes a good introduction? Looked at transition sentences, an idea in one paragraph. Nathan also reworked his thesis statement.
So what does you see the word
Cutting it up line by line back together.
You're not just sticking in some commas back from your paper and re-examining your
only at the end of the writing process. Every rough draft you do. As you get feedback from others, so let's go back to Nathan. He's paper and then gone back and looked it over again.
Read it for yourself on the insert card.
So here's the scoop on Nathan's. He's elaborated from his outside readings into his paper.
Hasn't changed his opinion. Nathan has expanded on his opinion, more specific, but he hasn't changed high school groups. Nathan's
Professor to get some feedback. You get good feedback by asking reader. So Nathan's put together the following list.
second does my argument back.
Remember what questions and who your reader is.
Reader more. The way it is now, it said the paper is, but doesn't catch.
someone want to read more of your paper. Obviously, if you're doing a lab report on free, you don't need to come up with some catch by it.
Nathan decides to change nerds, oh my, reference to the Wizard of Oz, and
To a John Hughes film. It is too obscure and might distract the
Hughes reference because she knew it. So Nathan decides to take the sentence out. Label people, stereotypes abound. But here, high school.
Remember earlier, Nathan acknowledging that based on his personal experiences.
Personal experiences, race, and gender. So Nathan adds a couple sentences.
Economic divisions, experiences, that at a public high school.